felt, the big game was our game against Texas Tech. I thought that was a game that if we could win that game and get into the next round in the tournament, and if there weren't a lot of upsets along the way, I thought based on what our league had done from start to finish, and also I've got great respect for the NCAA committee, the way they work at it year-round. A lot of respect for our conference office to get the information out. I think that they realize you look around at teams, every team for the most part goes up and down, and they want to know why. And so, again, I just truly believe that when it's all said and done, that they're going to put it all out there, and their job is to get the best large teams there could be in our league, and was what it was and should be. You never know, but I felt pretty good about it.
Could you tell the guys were nervous? Several of them said they were.
Well, I didn't talk to them a lot about it because, there's this, but I didn't. I didn't. I don't know. I couldn't tell, to be quite honest.
How big a factor do you think the strength of schedule was?
I think it's the most important thing. I think the non-league, and I was on a radio show just a little bit ago and talking to some guys about it. Obviously you don't, aspire to be in this position, but sometimes things happen that you can't control. But if you don't get in because of your non-league schedule, you have no one to blame, and that's a lesson I learned the hard way. And Dave Gavitt told me that many years ago when I was at Providence. If you're in this situation, you don't get in, and it's because of your non-league schedule, and no one to blame but yourself. And but then I think when you factor in that we've always tried to play a great schedule, then our league this year, I think 8 or 9 teams at one point in time in our league was ranked in the top 25. And also, if I remember right, I think that this year that maybe in the football playoffs, everybody criticized the Big 12 for not having a playoff game. And I think that the fact that we play a round robin is something that the committee, it plays to your advantage. I think is a huge thing. Every night you're playing against top 25 teams, and I think people realize that. And again, the work that the committee does, checking in with conference offices and wanting to know what's going on, not just in the last week, but they do it all year. And that's where I think that committee is really. They know more about college basketball than anybody that follows it, because they really do get all the inside information, and they know what's going on.
Hey Rick, leading Kentucky, you guys look like a team that could compete with anybody in the country. How has the team changed since then? The confidence changed, and do you still kind of feel that way about it?
Well, the game against Iowa State was as hard a loss that I've been involved with in a long time, because it was the first time all year really and truly I felt like our guys were really engaged with each other, coaching each other, telling coaches, get him out of the game, get him in the game. And that's what we've been wanting. But with that said, I believe you are who you are, but when you sit back and from the inside you look at it, and you guys don't know everything that goes on with our team, and because we're not going to put it out there because nobody wants to hear about the excuses or the situations that you have to play with. But I did think it was ironic the last week. I've heard coaches talk about in the last week and a half where their teams have had guys injured and how it's broke their rhythm. We didn't get a chance to get any rhythm until about 2.5 weeks ago, and we knew that. But with that said, as coaches, we never let our guys think that was an excuse. We went into games with sometimes being down guys, and with that, our guys have been great. They've worked, and they've had some days practice with 7, 8 guys on the court and trying to work through some things. And I know that Isaiah's missing 10 games he's a sophomore, and those were huge games for him. And I think it shows up in and I told him this in the situation where he got the 10-second count. I think those are awareness plays, but when you lose that and then he comes back, and I know he feels the weight of the world was on him, and he was pushing and struggling, but I don't think there's any coincidence that we've played our best basketball in the last 2.5, 3 weeks, and he's played his best basketball during that time. And but collectively as a group, they were. There's no doubt in my mind they went to Kansas City with the idea that it wasn't to play their way into the NCAA tournament; it was to win the Big 12 tournament. You know, I don't know who all Butler has played. I mean, there aren't many teams as big as us. I mean, you know, we're the leading shot blocking team in the country, and you know, we've been effective both man and zone. And I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know if anyone in the Big East overall has the size that we have. But this time of year, guards got to play now. I mean, you got this guards have to take care of the ball for you. They've got to. And it can't be one. It's got to be. You need three or four guys that can do that. I mean, again, guards this time of year are really, really important.
How would you describe Cambridge's year? Has it been a little disappointing up and down?
Well, it's been up and down, and it has been, and I just know that there's still another level that Cam can get to, and I just think if he. You know, he's been good last couple of weeks, really. I mean, and I think too, when you factor in with, you know, Cam and Prince and Miles and Connor and John, all that, it's consistency's been a big part of it, and that's what's been the toughest thing is night in and night out knowing who's going to do what, and but when Cam is. I mean, I know Cam can score the ball. I know he can, but it's all about balance, getting his balance, and defensively he's done some good things. In the last couple of games, all of our post guys have been really good defensively. Our ball screen defense has gotten so much better in the last 2.5 weeks, and he's going to have to be good next time out because they, I mean, every team's running that, some kind of ball screen action.
What gives you confidence that the team you want, they can show up over the next 3 weeks?
Well, I like to think with all that we've gone through and the fact that it's been a tough year because our expectations were higher than anybody else's, and you're always hoping you're prepared for, you know, anything that can go wrong, you know, Murphy's Law, but sometimes things, you know, you can't. And but with that said, the way these guys have, I never felt at one point in time they didn't think they could win a basketball game. And you guys know, you watch us, that there was times that I was wondering, you know, what they really were thinking inside. But and it goes back to, and I told them this tonight. I mean, we can't learn any more lessons in terms of we played 36 minutes, and you go back when we were in some games, and I know it was rhythm and all that. We'd have those 2-minute spurts in the first half where we'd let it get away from us, or 2 in the second half, and you go back Iowa State game, we were, if we could make one more play on either end of the floor, I think it's a difference. But the turnovers, you can't turn it over. And I told him if we play for 40 minutes, we'll play as long as they want to play.
You said maybe you wish you could have done more to help your team. In retrospect, what do you feel like that would entail?
I wish I had a microphone that I could put in her ear and tell Isaiah Taylor, don't go try to dunk that ball when we're up 15 points against Cal. I'd like to tell, you know, Javon Felix, hey, there's a screen there, don't run into it. And John, hey, John, when you turn around and run down the court, don't run into somebody and get knocked out. That's the stuff I'd like to be able to do. But the fact that maybe at times because of me not wanting to acknowledge any of those type injuries and just saying it doesn't matter, this is who we got to go play. And at times I wondered if I was sensitive enough to the fact that, because these guys, they care, they want to do well. But I've always believed, you know, whatever you got to get ready to play. And but I do know that, you know, again, Isaiah, what he missed was I mean, that's a hard time for him. You know, those 10 games were a time when you can get a lot of things done from a game management, all that type things, and then with injuries, we haven't gotten to do a lot of the things that we'd like to normally do. But the fact is, we got a chance to right it all, and hopefully we can.
Not to turn this into a retrospective, but do you think that dunk against Cal where Isaiah got knocked out was maybe the biggest thing that affected the season?
No doubt. I said that was somebody asked me the other night what I thought the biggest play of the year was. I said Isaiah's decision to go try to dunk a ball. when we didn't have to. I mean, I think that was. I remember after the game, I asked him what he was thinking. He said, "I was trying to make a statement." I said, "Well, you did, not a very good one, you know." And because what it did, you talk about rhythm, it made other guys have to shift over and start playing some other positions and trying to put it together, and then knowing that you want to hang on to some of the things you'd practice all through the preseason, but it was hard to do because so much of what we did was based around him and his speed and quickness. And then when he came back, I mean, he pressed, and you know, I could look back and say we could have maybe brought him along a little bit slower, but at some point in time, you know, we wanted to try to get him out there and make up for that lost time. And so I could sit back and think about a lot of things, but it doesn't do any good.
Rick, where's Miles' readiness for this tournament? Where's Miles' readiness for this? He didn't play last time against Iowa State.
Well, you know what I think? I think Miles has had you look at it, a really good freshman year. Miles Turner's 18 years old. I mean, he's 18 years old, and I mean, he's had to go in, and he came in with expectations that were very unrealistic because physically, you know, that's been a big adjustment for him, and I think he would tell you that. But overall, I mean, this time of year, as a coaching staff, as a team, you're going to play whoever you think's getting things done. And you go back and look, I mean, Connor has helped Isaiah a lot in terms of managing games. I mean, Connor's very, very good at seeing some things and doing some things. And when Prince and Cam, and I mean, there's only so many minutes on the court, and it's going to be based on matchups. If you were watching the Iowa State game closely, there's no doubt, just like we had picked out certain guys we were going to attack, they knew they were going to go right at Miles Turner. And, I mean, they did. They drove him and trying to do that. So, I mean, it's matchups, and that's what it is.
When people talk about your guys' strengths, they always mention the length, but so often in this tournament, veteran teams seem to go on runs. Is that one of the benefits that people might be overlooking with your guys?
Well, I think this time of year there's a lot of factors, but I do think that guard play is, if you'd ask me, I mean, you got to have big guys that can. You got to have every guy doing what they do well, and that's what we've tried to get our team to this year. And that's where, when you talk about rhythm, you know, where guys say like DeMarcus Holland gets to play a natural position for more than a game or two. He gets to get over there. He gets to, you know, get into it and play his position, and in a rotation too. I mean, that's important. And so it gets back to consistency, knowing what guys can do. You know, John, I mean, you start making shots. I mean, we all know you start making shots, it changes everything. And but we have to be able, and I told our guys, we'll just play defense and rebound the ball. We'll find a way to score enough points. And but we got to take care of the ball. And those are the three things that we've harped on all year, but we've done a better job lately taking care of the ball. But you go back to the Iowa State game, and we did a good job until last 3.5 minutes. And it's not just, I'm not talking about turning it over. I'm talking about open court situations. Do you have numbers? Do you attack the basket? Do you pull it back out? I mean, you got to make every possession count, because this time of year it is a possession game. We you know, with Synergy now, like, they just downloaded 3 games on my iPads, and we'll start watching it. But and not much other than the fact that you know, their team is and program has been built on, you know, hard, tough-nosed defense. They in the past have been, you know, a team that will pick and roll, and but you look at them, by just the numbers I looked at, I know that they really put an emphasis on defense and rebounding.
Rick, why does this tournament become more about the guards than it was about the big men?
You know, that's a great question. I think that one, the guards dominate the ball more in the rules, you know, and I still don't think they're right on the rules yet. They still need to get it figured out in terms of how they're going to really call post play. But it's easier to see contact, I think, away from the basket. So if you get a guard, you need guards, not just a guard. But you go back to a year ago. Think about Connecticut got going, guard play. guard play and go back. What, Kemba Walker? Go back as far as you want to go. I mean, I've always felt that at some point in time it's going to get down to I mean, there's so many thoughts that come to my head about different plays at national championship time where it gets down to some team giving a guard a ball and some other team putting their best defender on that guy and say, okay, let's see if we can make a play. And but because I think most coaches in most situations want to put the ball in somebody's hand and let them go try to create as opposed to trying to run a set to let 2 or 3 multiple guys maybe handle the ball. And so you need guards that can take care of that ball.
What would you say the Big 12's team chances of getting to the final weekend?
You know, I could make a case for a bunch of them because of what they've gone through, what this league. This league has been a really a grind. I mean, it's you look at it and teams in this league have played against different styles. When you look at the zone team and the style that Bobby Huggins brought in this year. I mean, there's going to be teams. I haven't looked at the brackets in depth and say who's going to match up with who, but you know, teams have obviously in the past. I'm not sure that we'd really have a pressing team in our league, but we do now with I mean, a team that really sold out and did a great job with it in West Virginia. We've got a lot of teams that spread the floor. I mean, you know, when you think about an Iowa State, Oklahoma, we're spread it out, but then you think you got some teams that like Kansas, I think, does a pretty good job. You know, when Perry's playing, you know, working the inside out, but. And then Iowa State, I mean, Oklahoma State, there's just Baylor. I mean, you look at Ricardo Gathers is rebounding in her zone, but offensively, I do think coaches do a good job of taking some isolations and doing stuff with it. So it's matchups. It'll get to matchups and longer timeouts in these games, even though they say they're not, they are, and that keeps the game kind of at a little slower pace. So possessions are very, very important.
Fully healthy? Everybody healthy?
Yeah, we are. We had a good workout today, and you know, the last 2.5 weeks has been we've been pretty good. We really have. But everybody's good.
Will the team draw on last year's experience being in the tournament, playing a couple games?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. You know that they can, but they're excited. I mean, our guys are excited, and like I said, they were really disappointed. And I'm telling you, that game at Iowa State was a tough one because it's fun coaching the game because they were locked in, and you know, at the end of the game, we had I thought for the most part we turned down a couple shots there in the last 3 minutes that we shouldn't have. You know, we had plays. You know, at that time of the game, you know, when your team's in front of you, you don't have to call timeouts. You can, you know, everybody was locked in. You could hear it, and we just had guys. You know, like John turned down a shot he should have taken. Remember the one that Isaiah had to throw up? That shouldn't have happened. Those are the plays that have to be eliminated. You know, guys have to. And you know, we turn it to Connor, turn it over, not getting it in. Those plays those plays like that are the ones you've got to, this time of year, you can't make those plays. I mean, I was watching a little bit of the Wisconsin-Michigan State game, and I think that Michigan State got a rebound and had a chance to maybe cut into it, and they threw an outlet pass that got stolen, and those plays are the ones that this time of year, those plays kill you.
What kind of excitement was there back there when you saw your name and it's Miles' first tournament and Jonathan getting in senior year?
Well, I was in another room playing with my grandson, and I heard guys start clapping, and you know, I've honestly felt that when West Virginia came up at a 5 seed, so we're going to be okay here, you know, and that's what I thought, you know, when they popped up quick at a 5, and actually I can tell you right now, my nephew, who is a Butler graduate, texted me this morning while I was in church and said, I hate it. Somebody just sent me a text that said, you're going to play Butler. So whatever one he's looking at, somebody's right. You know? And I,
who wins?
huh?
You say who wins?
No, I asked him. I said, well, well, the good thing about it, I guess win or lose, you'll be okay. He said, no, it's not like that. I'm pulling for Texas. I said, well, you proved the theory that blood's thicker than water, you know? Yeah.
How important is this for John, because he started to get stroke back and he's going to lose some ups and downs this year?
You know, I am excited for him. The fact that, you know, he stayed with it, and last 2 years we've gotten into the tournament, and it would have been hard. And at times this year, I mean, when we were struggling to try to just do anything we could, we had at one time said, hey, if you can't do it for anybody, let's do it for John, because of what he's done. He's just been such a program guy, and he struggled. I mean, I will be honest with you. I was surprised, and after he got his concussion, I mean, he really struggled for there, and I couldn't figure it out, because he was doing, and after we lost here to, I think it was Iowa State, I called him. Was that an afternoon game? Like, yeah. I called him, and he sounded terrible. I said, what are you doing? And he said, Coach, I just came home. I've been in bed by myself. And he and I had I said, you believe me, if this is the worst thing that ever happens to you, you're going to be fine. But and he just said, I can't understand it. You know, I'm working, I'm doing everything. And I told him, I said, you know, a lot of people work. And in sports, you don't always get rewarded the way you want to. It can be cruel sometimes. But if you just stay with it, and he, so it's great for him. Again, I hope he'll, again, just keep. And he was a guy, I think him doing what he did, you know, we need everybody, but when he's knocking down shots and going back, rebounding the ball, you remember in games up there, he was just going to take the ball away from people. And that's what he's done, those kind of plays. I mean, when he does those kind of things, I think our guys really feed off of it. And we need him to do just that.